All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Dental Disruptors Podcast. I'm Jake Larson. This is my co-host, Clint Berry. We're very excited for this episode because we love these interviews. We get to introduce you to friends of ours that are making a big impact. This is Rohit Chaparala. I think I pronounced that right. He is co-founder. Co-founder of up-and-coming AI company in dentistry called Newton AI. You can check out more about what they're doing at joinnewton.com. We're really excited to be able to chat with Rohit. We've known him for a while, and they're doing some awesome stuff. So, yeah, welcome. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. So to begin, before we dive into some of the cool things that we foresee coming in the dental industry with AI and everything, we want to get to know you. We want to get to know what you're doing at Newton. So let's just start with learning a little about you, introducing yourself to our audience a little bit, so tell us about you and also how you landed in the dental industry. We'd love to hear those stories about how people fall into this.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Rohit, co-founder, CEO at Newton, and we've been around for a little over a year now. And I think what we do is we give basically a AI assistant agent that we train on our customers' practices. We gave her a name. Her name is Sophia. She learns about scheduling rules, how they want her to answer calls, book appointments on their behalf, and then she plugs into a lot of workflows in order to bring in more production for the practices. So outbound recall, rescheduling opportunities that might be falling through the cracks on behalf of practices, identifying like broken appointments, and making sure those are getting scheduled. And she does that as part of our broader platform, which is actually end-to-end VoIP service. So we do phones, both AI and non-AI for practices, texting, where Sophia is handling a lot of those repetitive manual texts, and then sort of escalating to the staff and communicating to the staff where their needs, staff, sort of like a human in the loop or staff buy-in or, outreach. And we also do things like forms, online scheduling, kind of like a complete bundle, just managed using AI end-to-end. In terms of how we got into this space, I think, Clint, you were saying earlier that everyone's story into how to get into dental is pretty, circuitous, and it's not, as you just kind of fall into it. But essentially, my co-founder and I, we were building tools for small businesses more broadly. This is like when AI was just exploding, people were losing their minds. We were one of those people. We were also like going crazy over it. And then we were basically building a tool for small businesses to bring in existing customers that was trained on their business. So it was like a chatbot that could understand their business and then bring customers back. Realized very quickly we were building basically for too many people all at once. SMB is a massive category, and we weren't really cutting our teeth into something specific. So we were kind of like in this sort of like, I would call it like idea maze. Some people might call it sort of like a pivot sort of phase where we're trying to figure out where to take the business. And I was getting a lot of texts from my dentist where, they were asking me to come back in. They were saying, we have openings, you got to come in. It was just like a spray and pray kind of approach towards bringing people in. And, it seemed like our tool fit that use case pretty down the middle of the road, because like we were sort of a little more sophisticated. We were having back and forth conversations with patients about finding, or customers about finding when they could come in. And so just started pulling on that thread, talked to my dentist. My friend's uncle was a dentist. And, fast forward to today, now we have a full end-to-end, communication platform with Sophia managing a lot of the communication.
And so are you exclusively in dental right now?
Yeah, so we are primarily in dental. We have a couple customers that are, you'll see like the industry, there's some gray areas where some folks are like in aesthetics and med spas. So we have a couple customers that are kind of a little more vertically ambiguous, I guess, in terms of where they serve. But yeah, right now our bread and butter is dental.
What I wanted to say is like, I have yet to talk to a startup founder in dental that's like, I knew when I was 10 years old that I was going to build software for dentists. That hasn't happened yet.
What I hope actually happened was that those text messages that you saw were being sent by somebody using Weave, and we can indirectly say that or Clint specifically, because he built it, that Clint directed you to Dental, so it's full circle.
Jake always talks like I built all of Weave, like it was like one developer that built all of it. Yeah,
without AI, should we say too? No help.
I mean, you were definitely there. You definitely have a space in like the dental tech lore, Clint. I think you're up there just for being a co-founder at Weave. But
he's pretty famous.
It's fun. Oh yeah, I'm super famous in dental startup land. All 10 people know me.
Oh, that's cool, man. So, and then I think it's important for people to know about your experience that you were able to go through YC and kind of that stuff. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I think like right around where we got the idea to go to dental, we realized that, this was like it's kind of a niche of healthcare where folks are really trying to get people to come in and make their appointments. There's a level of uncertainty where the practice doesn't know if someone's going to show up. So we really felt like, AI and LLMs could be a real game changer there. We started getting deeper and deeper into it. And then we applied to Y Combinator for winter 2024. We sort of explained our story, explained sort of how big the market was. We saw there's a real opportunity here. Interview went pretty smoothly. We kind of hit it off with our group partner, and then, next thing we got funding for this idea, and it went from a project that I was working with Sam on the side, and we were just kind of hacking away with it, to like, okay, like we're a real business, we're a real operation. And Clint, a little bit about that too, right? Because you guys were a little ahead of us, but you also went through the same program when you guys started up at Weave not too long ago.
Yeah, I mean, it was so awesome. And Jake was actually with the company when we went through YC as well. And I guess there's probably a group of people that will hear these snippets that don't know what YC or Y Combinator is, and because they're in the dental space. But Y Combinator is probably, I'd consider, the most prestigious business incubator usually for software startups, but all types of startups. And yeah, we were exactly 10 years ahead of you. So winter of 2014 is when we went. We were the first company out of Utah to make it into Y Combinator, which was really fun. And yeah, I don't know, what a cool experience. I'm glad you got to experience that. For us, it was really eye-opening. We were 3 kids from Utah. We didn't understand raising money. We didn't understand how much capital was out there. And that really opened our eyes. It was really fun now because like when we were there, Sam Altman was there and he like did my interview.
That's really cool.
And he invested in us personally, like a $200,000 check, which was so cool. And then, of course, now he's like world famous for ChatGPT, but I knew him first. He has no idea who I am, to be clear.
So let's pivot and I want to make sure we make ample time to highlight Newton AI, because some of the things you guys are doing are really cool. You gave us a pretty high level overview of lots of different things that you're doing, from AI receptionists to patient engagement, all the way down to patient forms. So where would you position Newton AI? Are you a competitor to all the patient engagement tools out there? Are you competing more on the AI receptionist side of things? Where do you, if someone were to ask you, where do you fit? How would you describe that?
I usually say I have trouble answering that question because I do have trouble answering that question. I think like the way I look at it is we do a lot of core infrastructure for a practice in terms of the patient engagement, right? So we give them the phone tools for communicating with the outside world, and we make it sort of super integrated to their practice management software using awesome tools like Koala. And we also manage texting and all of that. But because it's an integrated system, what we learned is that a lot of a lot of the communication that is being routed over an existing phone system tends to be very repetitive and pattern based, specifically for outbound calls. So I would say my estimate is at least 20 to 30% of calls by receptionists today or the front desk are very manual, right? Calling patients that are not texting to confirm that they're going to show up, or printing out a list of people who are not scheduled, who are due for their cleaning, and just calling through that list every single day. And we identified that as an opportunity for, our AI receptionist to have a kind of role to sort of pick up where, the staff is currently doing that. And the idea is that if you can identify those workflows that tend to be very repetitive and maybe not a great use of the staff's time, the staff can actually use their time to focus on things like educating about treatment or breaking down a bill or sort of focusing on people coming in and out of the clinic as opposed to sort of telling them to hold on and deal with the cancellation. So it's really one integrated solution with, I would say, an AI assistant receptionist, what you want to call it, managing a lot of those sort of lower ROI tasks on the front desk behalf.
Super cool. So
Weave on steroids, Jake, is that what you call it? It's Weave on AI steroids.
Yeah, that's exactly that.
I love seeing that next generation. It's so cool.
Yeah.
So one of the topics that we have discussed on a previous episode was we started to dig into some of the KPIs inside of dentistry and how the industry as a whole has maybe been a little bit slow to adopt or not had as much technology available as maybe other industries. But one of the things that we talked about in that episode was a KPI that we kept hearing about, and that was tracking ROI and marketing spend. We did an episode about this. I think it was like our second or third episode. Clint, you probably remember that. Probably wearing a Weave shirt or something. But
it wasn't just tracking ROI. It was even just tracking the close rate of new patient
that's what
calls.
It was. Yeah.
Closing new patient calls, which is like still very manual, right? And that's what I thought was interesting is like the DEO put that down as like one of their top 10 KPIs, like how effective is your office? And I started looking around for solutions that automated it, and there just isn't any in dental. And so that's when Rohit was like, "Hey, we're launching this." I was like, "Yes, come on the podcast."
So Rohit, you want to tell us a little bit about that KPI specifically, like how you guys identified it and what you're doing to solve that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this goes to your point about how we do a lot of sort of AI outreach and sort of you have that assistant Sophia to manage, but also because we're a phone system and because we have access to all the phone calls that are coming into the practice and going out of the practice, one of the things that we realized, I think maybe to Clint's point, is that a lot of folks are trying to get visibility into just have a sense or a directional understanding of, okay, I'm getting in this many calls. How many of them are opportunities that could have been converted, that were converted, maybe weren't converted? And then even can I click into these calls and see what happened or why, how this employee was successful and be able to sort of complete the journey, or, can we use a couple of these calls for training reasons? And so one of the things we did with our system is in the age of AI, what you can do, right, is you can actually get intelligence on these calls coming in and see, okay, you can train these models or train the AI to basically understand or be on the lookout for leads that are coming through the phone system and sort of bring them to the forefront of the practice or the owner, the executive of the organization, and say, look, you got, X amount of calls, over this period of time where potential patients, came across your practice and were looking to be new patients. Of those calls, and you can get as sort of granular as you need to here, of those calls, X amount were converted into new patients, and then, Y percentage are still, and we actually do escalate. If we can't convert it, we'll sort of escalate to the team, but we'll sort of bring that to the forefront, and then you can get. I think the big thing is you have an opportunity to create a communication system that removes a lot of ambiguity out of sort of who's calling and why they're calling. With sort of a tool like Newton, where you have AI sort of analyzing these calls on a daily basis.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, and I would love you to like dive into this a little bit more.
Sure.
So you've got you are the phone provider, right? So basically the transcription is you have access to that to be able to see what's being said, and if there's maybe words or conversation pieces that the AI is trained to identify as, oh, this is a new patient call or something like that. It can identify specifics about what type of patient this is, which then would allow you or enable you to then track your new patient conversion, like Clint was saying. But it's that ability to be the phone company, to have access to the transcription, and then training the AI to be able to manage that. That's how I'm understanding it? And comment a little bit more on that.
I think you nailed it. I think like some of the challenges right now that I've seen at least are you have either a landline system or maybe you're using, more of a traditional VoIP service that, and I'm sure they're investing in this and we'll get there, at some point, but those sort of AI native capabilities are not sort of in the DNA of the product itself. So you don't really know, who's calling or why they're calling. But to your point, if you can sort of have a system where you're tracking the quality of those calls, specifically looking out for things like new patient opportunities, and then having a counter that's sort of running every single day on these calls, you can sort of identify those opportunities. Because I think the challenge partly is like a lot of folks invest a lot into initiatives to get new leads in, but the leads need to be converted. You can bring new leads in, but then like the office needs to convert those into new patients, right? And I think being able to understand how well the staff is doing or how well the practice is doing has been a challenge historically. But if you can get very clear, concrete metrics on, to your point, like a list of new patient opportunities over phone calls using an AI tracking system, and then identifying the number that were converted, that's something that kind of gives you metrics on business health and sort of to at least know what's working and what's not working a little more clearly.
Yeah, and I would even say like direction on where you could invest into training with your team members. You know what I mean? Like if you don't, I think when we talked about this the first time, Clint, I mentioned that like is in sales and marketing, which is my background, these conversion metrics are like 101. You're looking at these on the regular, and it's oftentimes driving how you're training and helping your team to improve. If I own a practice and I'm investing thousands of dollars into marketing to get that phone to ring, and I don't, number one, even know how well they're converting, and number two, I don't know who is best in my office about converting those and what one employee says versus the other, or times of days that maybe we're just missing these phone calls, right? All of those things are critical in order to make the right decisions to help improve, to train, to hire, et cetera.
Yeah. I mean, it's sales like 101, right? Is like you need to have data in order to make decisions on, where to invest your staff's time and to know like what can be improved and what, is working. And, I think that's pretty important for running any organization.
Nice. I love it. Well, Jake, I think we should ask him about the future. What's going on with the future?
Clint loves this.
This is the part I'm passionate
crystal
about.
ball. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, where do you see the future of dental technology? Where are you guys steering the ship, or as much as you can tell us with your product base or wherever whatever you guys are doing. But what's your bank on the vision of AI and dentistry?
I think I think one of the things I've realized is that there's a trade-off that people are making right now in this industry where they feel like they can't scale their organization or grow their organization without having to keep hiring more people and grow their team. And I think that is not necessarily true, because you can have a sort of a system where it's quality over quantity, and you can hire like a smaller team that's focused on, in-person patient care as opposed to, I'll give you an example. Like right now, with the existing tools right now, if the front desk is dealing with people coming in and out of the office, they're checking people in, they're reappointing people before they leave. And then if someone cancels, they have to kind of put everything on pause and focus on getting that patient rescheduled into a new spot, as opposed to kind of being able to manage that workflow. And I think that 5 years from now, a lot of those sort of responsibilities that just fall on the lap of the front desk are going to be handled by software and technology. And so you're going to have a model of care where it's really just you're focusing on the patient in the door, as opposed to sort of, 3 or 4 different phone calls coming in or notifications about a cancellation or rescheduling. And I think that lets you actually, like dentistry can be more sort of services focused. So you're in this, you can deliver a better experience for patients in the office. And also, rather than sort of having to focus on just hiring more people to grow, you can really scale with like a best-in-class team, like a leading, really great team, as opposed to having to feel like you need more people in order to scale your business.
I love that emphasis that you put on improving the in-office experience, right? That's kind of how I interpret that, where I could see a lot of dentists and others feeling that AI will make things less personable and maybe remove the touch that's so important inside of dentistry. But as you're phrasing it, I'm thinking actually it could do the complete opposite, where, rather than being, approaching the front desk and them saying 1 second while they're on the phone and then doing this over here, their full attention can be completely spent on the one-on-one individual things happening inside the practice.
Actually, it's funny because as someone who is a big proponent of like AI and the potential of AI in this industry, one of the things that I feel pretty confident about is AI is a mechanism to allow for better in-person care, because today trade-offs are being made where the staff is having to do these sort of repetitive manual tasks over and over again. And like you said, telling people in the clinic to hold on while they hop on the phone. And I think if you can automate away a lot of those or automate a lot of those functions to technology, first of all, the staff doesn't feel as underwater as they constantly do, dealing with a world of chaos constantly. And second, they can focus on the patient, coming through the door, as opposed to having to sort of deal with 10 different things at once.
Awesome. Clinton, got any questions additionally besides what the future holds?
No, I mean, I love hearing Rohit talk about that. And I love the focus on the inpatient experience. I mean, that ultimately is what's going to drive that patient experience is what's going to drive people coming back, every 6 months and coming back to that dentist. So I love hearing it. I really appreciate you, Rohit, for coming on and sharing that vision with us, and super excited to see, what Newton does in the future and the new features that you come out with. It's exciting for all of us. So it's really fun.
So if you do not currently have an AI strategy in your practice, you should definitely check out Newton, talk to Rohit, and they can help you feel confident about what you're doing to prepare for these changes they're going to come. It's just a matter of when. And having a partner like Newton and Rohit to help you, guide you, is awesome. And for you that are maybe building software companies inside of dentistry, they are a great example of building an awesome, successful startup with a really bright future. So it's been awesome to have you, Rohit. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll maybe have you on again in a few, probably months. The rate AI is evolving, but we'll have you on again. You can share the things that are changing and evolving, give us an update on Newton, and we'll definitely keep in touch. So
for sure. Yeah. And I appreciate you guys having me on. It was good I always jamming about this stuff. So, it's good to find people who are also like-minded about it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.